Hello there, my name is Anthony Barocas of StreamTech. This is basically going to be a copy of the live show that I just did with regards to conflict streaming, because the way YouTube handles live shows versus uploaded videos is very different. So I have to upload this content separately. It's going to cover how best to record the things that are happening around you, different camera settings you can use, different applications you can use, then also how you can leverage cloud storage and cellular upload to make sure your footage immediately gets uploaded to the cloud safely. If you also want to try and stream the content, I have tips on that. And then also tips with regards to camera safety and your safety as well. So without further ado, here's the live show. I'm just going to be honest, I did not want to do a show this week. I felt that it was not in good taste to do a show about whatever after the things that had unfolded in Minneapolis, and I was not in a good space. And then what can I do? What could I possibly do? So that was the genesis for today's show. And today's show is about people who choose to document things that are happening. Now, I don't choose to be an expert in this, but I do have 20 years of experience in live streaming, and I have used mobile devices for multicam live switch since 2017. And I wanted to throw some ideas out there that may be able to help someone, because I know I am not an expert at this, but I may have more expertise than people who want to get involved but have no idea. So I'm going to throw these ideas out there, and I know there are people who have better experience, who have been out there on the front lines, who have been doing this, who may also have recommendations. So if you're here during the live stream, throw your comments in. If you're watching this after the fact, throw your comments into the underneath the video, so that people who are watching this can gather from your experience as well. So I hope this can be a repository for information, and share this. Give it to your social media, share it in if you have active groups, signal chats. If you're participating, share this, and hopefully those people can chime in on this video and share information or correct things. Because again, I am not an expert in this. I am not a reporter. I am not someone that works in conflict zones regularly. Those people would have excellent information to give, but I felt I would put this information just because the cell phone information that came out after the event in Minneapolis was so conclusive. That was so valuable. And anyone who could look at it could clearly see that the evidence that bystanders recorded was so incredibly valuable. Even if you, whatever you choose to do, and what you choose to do is up to you. Get involved, not get involved, record, don't record, stream, don't stream. That's all up to you. I'm just putting this information out there so that if you choose to do something and this information can help you, I hope this information can help you. So this is the space that I'm in. I know this is not a typical show, but I hope people can chime in, and this can help and grow and, even improve how things go forward. So we did have one comment come in already. How does one choose a GSM provider to stream video? At this point, it's mostly GSM. There are still some CDMA. Verizon still has some CDMA on. I think 3G might still be usable in certain areas, but 4G, most of it is GSM at this point worldwide, and that allows companies like Google Fi and T-Mobile to allow you to basically have one device, one plan, but use it in multiple countries around the world, because they'll just roam. How does one choose a GSM provider? Generally, talk to other people and find out what has a good signal where you are. the signals still come and go. Like I'm in Texas, and T-Mobile may have a great signal in one place, and AT&T sponsors one of the stadiums, so they actually put cell coverage in the stadium, 5G. So you go in the stadium and they're like, this is amazing because it's AT&T, and that's they do that. And you may be like, well, my Verizon doesn't work as good in the stadium. Of course, because AT&T put their name on it and put cell service in the thing. So find out what works well where you are, and get that. There's no way to guarantee one carrier's coverage is way better than any other carrier's coverage, because if you watch their ads or look at their maps, they all tout they have the best. Each one is the best. So there's no way to guarantee anything. And then, as with all cellular coverage, it really depends upon how many people are hammering it at any particular time. If you have an event and there's 5,000 people in front of a given building, they're gathering, that's going to be using up the 2 or 3 towers that cover that area. And it's going to be hard. You're going to be hard pressed to get a reliable signal. So that is what makes it very challenging. How does one choose a GSM provider? You can choose a provider, but that does not guarantee you coverage. What equipment works best in conflict zones and why? That's a good question. What equipment works best? Thus far, the footage that we have seen that has come down to us, I believe, has been recorded in the device. And what equipment works best? The best camera is the camera you have with you. And I really want to talk about mobile devices. Yes, you could use an action cam in 4K or 8K or whatever Ks you like. These are nice, but these can't zoom. These are great for body cameras and stuff like that. And they can capture what happens around you, and your hands are free and everything. But they're generally very wide. So if something's happening over there, you can't really get it. Whereas if you have a mobile device that has 3 lenses, one of those is going to be a telephoto lenses, 3 lenses or 4 lenses. One of those is going to be a telephoto, so it's going to have a 3x or maybe more. Some Samsungs actually had a 10x optical zoom in the camera, or I should say 10x focal length. Not an optic. You don't zoom all the way through the 10x. And what that lets you do is that lets you be far away from what's happening, but get really good video of what's happening because it's a 10x optical lens. So I personally, after the things that happen, I don't want to get too close. I want to stay far enough away, but we need to be able to, what's happening. And because it's a mobile device, we can move around. What's happening over here, what's happening over there, and everything we can change. Whereas I had, an older Samsung, this is an Action S6 Active. And this is a plastic bodied phone. It's one of the first waterproof submersible S6. It's, like 10 years old at this point. Waterproof submersible. I lost this in a pool and found it sucking to the bottom intake of the pool and picked it up and worked fine. But yeah, just one normal camera on this one. So that's all you're going to get. But, that's another thing. Maybe don't use your everyday driver. Don't use the phone you use every day with your life on it. Get a disposable device, used from 2, 3, 4 years ago. Look on Marketplace, Craigslist, online classified ads, and find a device that has that telephoto lens that you can dedicate to this purpose. This is the one I'm going to use, and if it gets smacked and grabbed and stepped on or whatever, I don't lose my own personal device. Plus, also, if it gets confiscated, it's not your life on here. It's just a recording device. Plus, it also means it's not filled with your personal photos. This is dedicated to that. That would be something that I would consider for that. I actually prepared a slide presentation for today. Again, this is not my typical show, so I hope you bear with me. And if you have useful information, please chime in. I know there is so much expertise out there, and again, I am not an expert in this type of event. So I hope that users and viewers can fill the comments with just gobs of useful information. But anyway, I wanted to go through some mobile journalism tips as of January 2026, and this could definitely change. first of all, be careful. If you want to go and document something, remember, your goal is to document, not get involved. Because the people who have been documenting have provided the evidence. And then also, please be very aware of your situation. You have to keep your mind. Don't just be looking in your phone or whatever. Be looking around. See what's going on. Get out of the way. This is a photo that just happened a week ago. This Getty photographer was being tackled, and he tossed his camera to someone else because he didn't want it confiscated. Obviously, he has the experience to do that, and so this is John Abernathy, but the photo is by Pierre taking a picture of him tossing his camera over. And, this is the situation, and this is on the streets in America. So this is what's going on and what was the impetus for today's show. As we've seen so far, cell phone video is critical because it also provides multiple points of view. There's points of view all the way around a situation. The latest incident with Mr. Pretty in Minneapolis, there was a view from inside the car. There was the lady with the red jacket. There was a view from a store across the street who could see the lady in the red jacket. And all of these views together allowed people to piece things together and say that, oh, well, she's filming him help the woman who was knocked down. And she sees this view, but then she can't see one of the officers leave in the opposite direction. The multiple views really do make a difference. Surrounding an area, covering, we each can cover each other. Cameras can also hear words. It has been very amazing that the words these cameras have been hearing have really illustrated the mindset of the people that we are filming. So these off-the-cuff reactions reveal intent and everything. So it's very helpful to let it happen. Don't be talking over top of it. Don't be screaming. Don't be yelling at people. Let the camera record what's happening. Although you can also narrate, where are you? What time is it? And things like that, which is, a legal form of binding the date and time to the footage. And then the fact that you're doing these on cell phones that have connectivity, like I said, if you get a dedicated device and you have your own primary device, you can share the Wi-Fi from this device, and then this one can share the footage immediately. So getting it out there has proven to be incredibly useful in informing the world at large what's happening. Not just an official document, but 7 different views of the same area where people can say, I think what happened was actually quite different. The cell phone video is critical, and I wanted to talk about this particular slide. People have enhanced this footage, and I apologize if it's graphic, but it's no more graphic than any of the, games, video games out there today. Games out there today are even more graphic than this. You never know what's going to happen because 16 seconds after he went to help the lady, this was the moment. And this is the view from the lady in the red jacket. Now, these two on the left are enhanced views. We asked AI to go through, look at the motion, and enhance this particular frame so that it's sharper and clearer. But even the original footage on the far right, that is what the camera actually recorded. That is very conclusive as to the fact that he's on the ground, he's faced away, his hands are down, he is not a threat. Nobody is acting in self-defense at that point. And that is the key. Maybe to have a wireless mic on your body. Then you're tying it to you, and these microphones are meant to be very close. They don't pick up what's happening over there, and especially if you're using the 10x lens, having this is not going to help you that. If you really want to get into documenting, they make directional microphones that will plug into cell phones directly, USB-C, Lightning, the old micro USB even. You can find directional microphones that will attach to a camera, and point in the direction where you're filming and really get that audio as opposed to whatever else might be happening around you. And that could be very good as well. This is what I'm talking about. There's somebody in that store that you can see, that pink house store. There's somebody in that store who filmed video that we have seen. And this, from that store, we saw the lady in the red jacket, and this is her footage. And this is so amazing that just documenting it, being far enough away, and again, be aware, be very careful. Something starts to happen, just back up. Recording preparation. I want to talk about all of this. Make sure you have space. If you're going to use a device, make sure it has plenty of space. Some phones used to be sold with 32 gigabytes of memory, which is almost nothing these days. 64, 128, 500 or more. Make sure your phone has space. Some phones even come with removable media. Older devices come with removable micro SD card slots, so you can put in a 1 terabyte SD card in there and have plenty of space. Now phones have USB-C and they can record to external media, but then you're adding other stuff to your setup. And if you're using the port for a microphone, then you can't be using it for media. So just beware. Charge your batteries. You can also use external power unless you're using a microphone. Being outdoors, the bright screen and recording video will use a lot of power and use up your battery faster than you're really used to it happening. Documenting the video is very powerful. It's taking a lot of power, and in great brightness, in order for you to be able to see it, the screen's going to crank up to like a super high brightness, and that's going to be consuming power way faster than your everyday use at home. Adjust your recording settings. You can go to HD or step it up to 4K so the camera original footage has that higher resolution that will be recorded, and that can be critical to see the details. 60 frames a second if you can, because that gives you more frames per second to see specific motion. And then also, there's different versions of recording. You can record in H.264 or H.265 or HEVC. I put a screen grab down there, and that way it's higher compression, it maintains the quality, it takes a little bit more horsepower to encode and decode, again, using your batteries, but it creates a much smaller file, meaning you can record for longer. Streaming preparation. These are things like if you choose to record, if you choose to make yourself to go out there and document what is happening, and you get a device and everything, connect it with your socials ahead of time. Don't try to do any of this when you're out there. Do all this at home, in your rocking chair, on your couch or whatever. Do all this stuff. Set it, whether it be YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, whatever you choose to use. Set it up ahead of time. Test it ahead of time. Do a bunch of streaming or recording, look at the footage, do a whole bunch of stuff, move the camera around, and then take the footage, put it on your computer. What is that process like? Let me look at the footage. Am I able to view it? Let me test 264 versus 265. And if you've watched my shows, test it has to be the thing that I probably say the most. Test it again. Also, understand that cellular connectivity is not universal. If you choose to try and stream while you're out there, understand that you are going to be in a place where other people are, and cellular connectivity may not be reliable, so the recording is the critical thing. Don't go out there to only stream, because the recordings so far have been the most valuable resources we have had. Coordinate with others as well. Who's going to be where? What is the settings on your camera and everything? Let's all work together and communicate. Backups. This is a key thing I don't think a lot of people think of, because, as we saw, that photographer was tossing his camera because with that Leica, the card in the camera has it all. But these connected devices, if you choose to get a device and then even put a SIM card in it, these can be set to automatically push your footage to the cloud. Automatically. You don't even have to be involved with it. So you're just doing this and everything, and you put it in your pocket, or something happens and it gets taken away from you, or knocked down into a sewer, or you lose it, you had to run and it's gone. It will upload automatically. That's another great reason to record in H.265, because the file will be smaller, making it faster to back up to the cloud. And you can choose what cloud you want. There's a lot of different options for whatever cloud you want to push it to. But you also have to make sure that you tell the device to back up using cellular data, because you're probably not going to have Wi-Fi wherever you're at. It's an optional choice. And check your plan. If you are on a plan with limited cellular data, that might not be the right option for you. That might, just worry about recording it and keeping your device. But if you are on a plan with unlimited cellular data, use cellular data for backing up, so that way it can start backing up that file, pushing that file to the cloud while it's still recording. Backup ideas. Do you have Amazon Prime? Amazon Prime gives you 5 gigabytes for video and unlimited photos. You can choose to just go out there and shoot photos too. That's absolutely also very, very usable. Prime Video gives you cloud storage. You have to go in and set it up for all of these things, but 5 gigabytes for video as well. And if you have Amazon Prime, and I think quite a few people do, this is free. It's included. So your device will automatically push to the cloud. One particular note with regards to pushing to the cloud, pick one, because you don't want to say, oh, I want to go here and here and here. I'm going to want to back up to all 3, because then it's trying to push that thing to 3 different places. It's going to take 3 times as long. So it's going to slow everything down. Pick one. iCloud. If you have iCloud, iCloud Photos will automatically back up your photos and video. And I had someone actually test this for me in preparation for this. He said, make sure the Photos app preferences has cellular data turned on. And then in the data mode, separately for the device itself, make sure that cellular data is not set to a low data mode, because that will hold off from using cellular data for everything. And again, it comes down to your plan. If you have unlimited data, go for it. If you don't have unlimited data, make a choice that works for you. You make a choice. It's up to you. Google Photos is available for both Apple and Android, of course. And this gives you mobile data ability to back up. Now, it used to be free for up to 15 whatever, but now you have to pay for it. It's free with a teeny little bit. So that could work. These free bits from Prime and Google and stuff like that, they can work if you go in and clear it out every time. If you actually want to get involved and do this regularly, you might consider purchasing a bigger chunk of storage so that you don't have to worry about it so much. Another really cool thing about Google Photos that I have found very difficult to do with iCloud is with Google Photos, you can go into your online cloud storage, select something, and share that thing. And it's a link to an album or whatever. It's a link to that. People aren't seeing all your footage. People aren't getting access to your library or an album. They are getting access to that. And that way you can, say, oh, these 5 photos, and send them. And that way it's really good. Again, you have to go into the settings for this. Photo settings, you have to go to backup, then you have to go to backup quality, what quality you want it to be backed up, and then you have to go into mobile data usage, a whole separate area, and then you have to say unlimited, and you have to say backup videos over data. You see that over there on the right. So you have to go in there and select what the settings work for you, your plan, what you plan on doing. And again, you have to do all this ahead of time. Go test, 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 and figure it all out. Microsoft OneDrive. If you have a Samsung phone, Samsung has Samsung Cloud, but for backing up photos and video, Samsung points you to Microsoft OneDrive. Also, if you have a Microsoft Office 365, it gives you 1 terabyte of cloud storage is included. So if you bought a family account which gives you 5 different accounts, it's 5 terabytes, but with different logins for each one. So you have a terabyte of cloud to push whatever you want. It's just a big dumb folder. And you can have it back up your photos or not, have it back up your video or not, have it back up all your documents or not. But Microsoft OneDrive, if you have Office 365, that's a terabyte of space. And I think it's like $99 a year. If you own a NAS, a network attached storage in your home or office or whatever, these have apps. QNAP, Synology, whichever, they have apps that you can run the app on your phone and it will automatically back up your photos and video to your NAS, giving you unlimited storage. Like I said, a terabyte. Who has just 1 terabyte on their NAS? You might have 20 terabytes available on your NAS, in which case, go for it. Tons of space. Check the support area for your NAS. Go to the company website, support, backing up photos, and find what apps they recommend. Synology makes their own app. QNAP, I found it's not as clear cut, and I didn't investigate other sources. How do we make sure that these companies do not have permission to use or get into our photos or videos? That is the EULA. In the EULA for iCloud, for Google Photos, they're your photos. It's your space. It's not for them to use. It's not for them to train AI. It's not for any of that. If you are worried about that, you can use your own NAS, and then it is literally backing up to your own storage in your house. That's you're going across the internet, but the app is talking to your NAS, and you own both halves. But with iCloud and Google Photos and things like that and Amazon, it's going up to somebody else's storage, but you own that space. They're not supposed to have any access to that space, and nobody else has access to that space unless you click on an item and specifically share that item out. Remember, use the cellular data because you're not going to be near Wi-Fi. When you're at home, using Wi-Fi makes sense. And that's why cellular data is, by default, turned off for backing up photos, backing up video. Check your cellular plan data allowance. Check your phone settings. Check the apps settings. And for third-party apps, I was using a Switcher Studio app. And Switcher Studio records video on an iPhone to within the app itself. Now, if you're using iCloud, iCloud backs up the photos and video in the camera roll, not in the Switcher Studio app. Those are 2 separate pools of data. So if I'm using Switcher Studio to record and it's not going into the camera roll, then it's not going to be automatically backed up by iCloud. So make sure that if there's a choice that you choose to record to the camera roll, to the camera's storage DCIM folder, to ensure automatic backup of that data. The concern is that the recording is still primary. Streaming is great, but streaming, especially in somewhere where there may be lots and thousands of people, is going to be not entirely reliable for the vast majority of people. So make sure to find an app where you can record at a higher quality and stream at a lower quality, giving both immediacy to what's seen, but also making to prioritize the recording. On some of these apps, you can add overlays for the date and location. Stamp the videos so that you know the exact minute it happened, the exact hour. You can have I don't, these probably don't have GPS stamps, but that might not be as important, because you can see in the footage where it was. And the apps I'm going to talk about today are free. First one is Blackmagic Design, has a Blackmagic camera for both iOS and Android, outfitting everybody. Is there a third operating system? Maybe in China there is. You get 2 gigabytes of free cloud storage on Blackmagic's servers once you set up an account. But again, if you record to your own space, your camera roll, then it's going to back up to your cloud that you already have set up through any other service. The app looks like this. The key is you can record high quality 4K internally and have a lower quality stream using a little bit of data at the same time. If you are out and about, you don't want somebody without your permission, now your phone's unlocked. Or taking your finger and putting your finger against the phone and unlocking your phone. You don't want that. So if you take a phone and you wake it up, make sure you have a complex password, alphanumeric, whatever, to prohibit easy access to your device. And I just downloaded Blackmagic Camera. Oh, I think I actually have this over here. And you can see what I wanted to do is I wanted to set one of the function buttons to live stream, but you can't do that. So you have to set up ahead of time, get a stream key. And again, if you are familiar with YouTube streaming, you can go to YouTube. This allows you to go to Blackmagic Cloud, YouTube, Twitch, or Vimeo, or import stream settings from somewhere else. I guess you have to somehow put them on the device and then from here, open the folder with the text. Kind of clunky, I think, but whatever. Cancel. So if you go to YouTube, you come over here, and for the key, I just typed in random stuff to make this work. And then you click the live stream button. As soon as you click that, while you're still in settings, it's starting to stream. It seems really odd that they wouldn't have a button on the main interface to do the streaming, but they don't. But here you can see the quality. Now, unfortunately, they don't tell you what high, medium, and low is, which is unfortunate. I would love to know, is high 4K at 20 megabits and medium is 1080p at 5 megabits and low is 720p at 1 megabit? I don't know. I just made those up. It would be nice if Blackmagic, who are normally really good about being detailed, would give us details, but they didn't. And then once you hit the live stream, boom, supposedly I'm streaming. And you can see at the bottom there, it says, I'm live. Okay. If you can tap on it and it takes you back here, connection failed. Yeah, because I just put in gibberish. Then when I go back to the camera, so now my YouTube is off. If I tap that, it takes me back here. So it's not like it's a little clunky to be streaming, but while I'm doing that, you can see up in the top right corner, I'm recording 4K. I'm recording high quality 4K, and I still have the ability to use whichever camera I want to use. You see the camera there? I can use the zoom camera, the normal camera, or the wide camera. So if I need to zoom in, I can zoom into that camera and continue to use 4K. It's an auto mode, so it'll, iris up. If I shine it at the light, it'll iris down. So it can still be pretty much auto run by itself and record. I don't know how to make that. There we go. It can still record 4K, as you can see in that upper right hand. Let me go over 4K right here, while at the same time I've got my streaming. So if I tap this, there's not a function button. I can say, I would love to be able to say stream on, toggle streaming on and off, but it doesn't allow that. You have to click into here, and then that will take me so I can turn that button on. If I turn that button on, then it goes back, and you see it's trying to, but it's not going to succeed. Like I said, it's just because I typed in gibberish. So there's no actual YouTube link for this to go to. So after so many seconds, it's going to be like, connection failed. Okay. And that may very well happen while you're at an event because cellular connectivity may be compromised and your data rate bottoms out and it just gives up. Do you think using a high quality router with external antennas would improve stability and reliability for streaming in conflict zones? Yes, I do. Because obviously the antennas in these devices are compromised antennas. So if you wanted to bring the extra stuff, that's the thing. You need to be mobile, you need to be aware, see what's going on, be ready to move, and extra stuff might not be the best choice. Would it improve stability? Probably. Would it be a good idea? I don't think so. Again, everybody can make their own choices for what they want to do. I'm told 2 gigabytes is nothing. Come on, stop playing. 2 gigabytes is better than no gigabytes of backup. And, something is starting to happen in front of you and you start 2 gigabytes of storage, maybe many times larger than that file that has that critical bit of information automatically being uploaded. You clear it off, 2 gigabytes at HEVC. That could be 20, 40 minutes of footage, maybe, depending upon the bit rate. So this is one app. And then I have also talked of, okay, here I go, 4K recording and lower bandwidth, set it up. And as I always say, test it again. And if you want to go to Twitch instead, you can do that. I find I have Twitch. Twitch deletes my stuff after a week. I don't, I have Prime. Prime owns Twitch, but I can't get my stuff on Twitch to stay for longer than a week. Vimeo, I tried the Vimeo, and Vimeo just went under a new ownership, so I don't know how reliable that might be, and what the cost structures are for that. Uploading to YouTube, there's certain restrictions with regards to brand new accounts, live streaming. You may be able to get it to work. If it doesn't, look at the other ones. The other app that I have talked about on this channel before is Teradek AirMix Solo. I did a video about live streaming on a stick where I had multiple cameras all streaming through the Wi-Fi hotspot from my phone, and I was able to switch between them. One of the things is, this is an older app. So if you want to find an old device to do the streaming, this is great. I actually got an old, my Galaxy Active S6 Active, and the Blackmagic app won't run on this because it's too old. The development stopped around 2020. And so those are the phones that it was actually designed to run on. Those are the new phones, the powerful phones that this is designed to run on. This will do multi-camera live switching. It will do overlays. You can type in whatever you want, where you are. You can have, I don't know if you can have a time clock on it, but you can have, details about what the event is and where you are, and stamp that into the video. Because if you decide to do this regularly, you're going to end up with a lot of footage of people walking around that kind of looks the same. And having the stamp on there the whole time to know which is what will be really helpful. It also has manual audio level controls, which are really good in terms of, we talked about before, bringing in an external microphone, knowing how loud it is and things like that. You can go in there and adjust those. It will allow you to stream at a lower bit rate than you are recording, but it will only record up to 1080p because 4K recording was not a thing when this came out. So this is it's an older app, great for older devices, but the challenge is it's an older app. But this will also record and stream. Record at 1080 at a high bit rate, stream at 720p at a lower bit rate, like 1 megabit, so that people can see what's going on from your point of view live. Another thing to consider, we haven't really talked about it, but somebody says a router. Bonding for streaming. Many of today's devices actually have an eSIM and a physical SIM, or maybe even 2 eSIMs. You can activate more than one SIM on more than one carrier. If you really want to dig into this, you can be connected to Verizon and T-Mobile. That way that you can then use an app for Speedify. This is not a paid sponsorship for Speedify. I didn't contact them before this. I have no affiliate link, nothing. I'm just saying this. I went looking. There used to be, I don't know if it was Larix or something else. There was an app that also did live streaming. I don't know if it also did recording, but that was one of its big claims to fame, is the fact that it would bond multiple connections in the phone to be able to do this very thing. But Speedify, both Android and iOS, is available. This is not free. You have to pay for this. But if you're going to, if you want the bonded capability of both eSIM and SIM, to use both of them, either for reliability or better bandwidth, also helpful for backing the stuff up. So even if you're not going to stream, but you want the footage to get from your phone more reliably to your cloud, iCloud, Google Photos, whatever it is, bonding means even if the one carrier is down, the other carrier's strength may be good. And it's going to bounce around wherever you are, what other people are demanding of it, who's doing what on what tower and everything like that. So bonding in the device across your two connections is going to help ensure that when you say, I need this stuff to back up to the cloud immediately, it's going to happen more reliably. Blackmagic camera app will record in 8K on the Galaxy. That's crazy sharp. Because cameras now can, phones can do 8K. Now, the question is, if you decide to use the telephoto camera and you're at 3X, 5X, or 10X, is the camera actually still doing 8K, or is it at that point only the 4K sensor? So that's something to also be aware of as well. If you're watching this and you have other information, or you have something to correct what I've said, because it's not, in reality, it's actually a little bit different, throw it in the comments, please. I understand. I'm putting this out there to the best of my knowledge, knowing that I don't know everything. So thank you for being there and jumping in with me on this. Your cellular connection can be compromised. There are these devices out there. One of them is called the Stingray. That's been, pictures of it have been circulating, things like that. So the Electronic Frontier Foundation deserves your support. Give them a donation. Don't give me a donation. Give them a donation instead. They deserve your support for helping to enable you to understand what's going on. These devices can get in between you and the cell tower. They appear as a fake cell tower. So you think you're connected, but you're not really connected. Or they go in between and you're still able to connect to the internet and download stuff like you think, but it's going through their device. And they can get from your device different kinds of information that normally only the cellular carrier can, including your IMEI. And so they know, based on your IMEI, what phone it is, what operating system you have, who owns it, what carrier you're on. They know all that. If you choose to not use cellular, you can turn cellular off, and then these Stingray devices don't work. Recording is primary, streaming is secondary. But if you still want to use them, there are ways that they have, and I actually brought this out just for this. You could use a little hotspot device like this that on their website says you can get them for $20, probably a little bit more now. And you can flash the firmware on the device, and what it does was it will execute a series of tests on the connection, and it will give you a colored bar at the top of the screen. A green bar means it thinks you're okay. A red bar means there's something fishy going on per its tests. Now, that's not to say that, whoever's running the Stingray can change their tests and then it doesn't show, but I wanted to make you aware that this is also a thing, that there are devices out there that can get in between you and your cellular connection and can provide you their fake cellular tower. And there exists ways that you can help inform yourself. It's not guaranteed, not 100%, and the game is changing every single week. When you're out there, you can choose to be hands-free. So you can take your phone and, like the picture shows, you can mount it to your body so your hands are free. Because you want to hold a banner or a sign or something, or hand out food or whatever. This works best with wide angle lenses because a telephoto would be constantly walking around every time, moving around every time you leaned or twisted or something like that. That would be a little wonky to use. So these are really good with action cameras so that way you've got a nice wide view of what's happening right in front of you. It's not going to help with regards to telephoto. If you want to go telephoto, you can get a phone tether or a lanyard so that the device is still tethered to your body a little bit. You're not going to be able to throw it to somebody else in case of, something happens, but it also keeps it from getting separated from you and easily taken away from you because, knocked out of your hand or, if you get bumped or something like that, you could, here it is, let me get it again. They're available $20 or whatever, and silicone, rope or whatever, clip on or not clip on. What you choose is up to you. These are out there as well, something to consider. Turn on Find My. This is my recommendation. Apple, Find My. Samsung calls it Smart Things. Google calls it their Find Hub. And what it does is it allows your device, if you are separated from your device, to be able to see where that device is. If it's on and near other devices where it can, Bluetooth, and then that information can get out, that way you can say, oh, I know where it is. Oh, it fell into the drain. I'm still getting a ping from here on the street somewhere. I can find it. Oh, it fell down. Somebody else picked it up. I can go track them down and things like that. There was somebody that was picked up and their device was taken. They were later released and they found that their device had been sold to a kiosk that pays for old electronics, because it was still pinging from inside the kiosk. So adding the Find My is going to make it easier to find your device. Set this up ahead of time. Share this. This is the key thing. It's not just for you. Find My phone. Share it with family, other people you are, a part of your team or, that are, going with you. Share that link to your device with them. So that, I can't find my phone. Can you look on your device and see where my phone is? Boom. Oh, it fell out of my pocket a block back. Let's go back and get it. Sharing that link makes it way more useful than if you set it up at home and then it's well, I can't check until I go home. Lock your phone. I talked about this earlier. Lock your phone. No fingerprint, no face. Those things can be used without your consent. Your face is always your face. And, it can be used. Also, make sure you set your phone to immediate phone lock. So as soon as you push the power button, it's locked. And you have to push the password in again. Make sure you're, like I did. Let me back up and put in the password to do that. Auto erase after 10 attempts, that's a decision you have to make. If it's a dedicated device just for that, maybe auto erase is okay. If it's your daily driver and you use it for everything, it's a hard thing to balance whether you want to make sure it auto erases. My friend who helped me on iOS also noted that, auto erase may not be, as bad as you think, because it only happens after 10 unsuccessful attempts. And that takes a long time because after each unsuccessful attempt, it makes the wait longer. So it takes a long time. Another thing to really think about is there's a setting for the wired accessories. If you want to plug in an external HDMI output, I plug this in and it just works because there's a setting that I have turned off on my device. Wired accessories. Ask permission for new accessories so that they can't stick something in and try to jailbreak whatever your device is via a wired connection, an ADB connection or something like that. If you turn this on, it's going to immediately reject everything and ask you to type in your password to tell the device this is okay. Also, I just thought of this, and I don't know how well this relates, but also understanding that, with certain devices, you can have them set to automatically unlock when in the presence of other devices. Oh, it's near my watch, so I don't want it to lock all the time, only when it's not near my watch. Well, if it's near your watch, it can automatically unlock. That would not be the best thing. Or maybe it's your earbuds or something like that. Be careful what auto unlock you allow. Turn on emergency SOS on your phone. This is more about in general than necessarily recording events or documenting events, but this can also be very useful. It's available on Samsung. It's available on iOS. It's still kind of a little clunky. I think iOS has the advantage here because you can activate it from a watch. Although if you don't have the Apple Watch, then you're still trying to do it on the phone. And Samsung required me to unlock the phone to confirm I wanted to do this, which is a little clunky. Like, SOS means I just have the ability to say help. Not hold on a minute. Okay, let me hold. No, I don't have that time. But having it in there and understanding what the process is better than not having it in there, because at least you can try to use it. Again, set it up ahead of time, test it. If you are in danger, you can have quick activation. You can see where it says on that one on the right, send messages to. You can pick people to send the messages to. Oh, the other thing I thought was, it can send GPS coordinates of when the SOS happened, and it will take photos and record audio. So if something's going on, when you push the SOS, it'll actually record video and audio and send that too, which is incredibly, pretty cool, I think. But to kind of sum up, remember, cell phone video has been critical in these events. They can provide multiple points of view, uncovering details that weren't visible from any one place. And that it makes it much easier to see the entire process of something when you can see it. It's sort of like the instant replay in football. Being able to move around what happened tells us exactly, was his foot on the line? Did he actually go across the plane of the end zone? Coordinate with others, who's doing what and everything, and prepare. If you've got a dedicated device, make sure you got enough space. Test the apps, test the connections, test the streaming. Get used to the process. I just thought of this now. If you're on YouTube, make sure that stream key is persistent so that if it drops, you can then just restart streaming to the same stream key and it will start a new stream. It'll end the one stream, but you can have like a half dozen of these partials all streaming out from the same stream key. You can keep reusing it. That's going to be a key thing. So get used to the process. Secondly, remember, cameras hear words. So it may be helpful to describe what the camera is not able to see, like this is happening on my left, this is happening on the right and everything, but also let the camera record what's happening, both in video and in audio. And by doing it on a mobile device that is internet connected, it then allows that to become very quickly available to the world. And then either streaming or an auto sync to cloud storage, so that if I was doing this and I push it to my YouTube cloud, I can immediately share a link to that footage from the YouTube cloud. I can allow people to download it, and then all of a sudden it can propagate out and other people can share it, and it can really get out there fast. I want to reiterate this again. Anything you do is up to you. I wanted to provide some information about technical aspects, but be careful. If you're there to document, remember, document and be aware of the situation and get yourselves out of harm's way if you at all can. Again, this is a photo I showed at the beginning where John Abernathy, who is the photographer who's on the ground being tackled, is literally throwing his camera to another photographer so that his SD card of photographs wouldn't be confiscated. I tried to record at a conflict zone years ago with a Blackmagic 9 Pocket 4K on a gimbal. Ended up with tons of dark 6-second clips, sticking with the phone. thank you for that, because you may. This is actually a really good point. And again, thank you for that, because think about it. It's like, oh, we're using our cell phones. Why don't so many people just walk around with big cameras? Big cameras. Yes, we're not press. We're not registered press, and and a big camera could make you a target. It's harder to wield. Once the camera's on, once the footage is in the camera, like that photo showed, once the footage is on that camera, it's stuck in that camera. Those things don't have automatic backup and upload. So you have to really understand the limitations of those devices too. It would be great for everybody to be walking around with a 4K ENG, prosumer camera with a 20x optical lens and boom microphone or a parabolic microphone to really get the audio from what's happening over there. That would be great. That would be amazing. But I don't expect that to happen. Also, in terms of things start to happen and tear gas and all this stuff starts to happen, you've got this thing, and it's not the easiest thing to deal with and wield, whereas a cell phone can be shoved in your pocket, shoved in your coat, and you could run, you could hop a fence and things like that. And that may be what's required. The camera quality on these devices is great. You may be limited to 10x on the certain Samsung mobile devices that have a true 10x optical. And I think there's a couple others. But that's still way better than just the standard wide angle view of this. That 10x at 4K and 60 frames a second is going to be so valuable in terms of the information it can share with other people viewing that footage. My name is Anthony Brokus from StreamTech. I'm the chief gearhead here. Thank you all for bearing with me for this very unusual slide presentation show. I usually don't have these, but I just felt this is what I needed to do. This is what I felt able to do to share my knowledge. And again, if you have information to relay, applications, connectivity, SIM cards, cellular networking, anything like that, put it in the comments, share it with others, and hopefully we can build this repository of information. And if there's a lot of things that I didn't cover and the comments are just chock full of really good information, I will do an update video, because this is very important right now. And again, thank you all for watching.